Hello again. So, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about some of the roots of what makes us struggle from a meditative lens and kind of applied those to the different struggles of diabetes. And to rehash that, some of those roots were just the feeling of discomfort, whether it's physical or emotional discomfort, which we can feel in our bodies, a very physical experience. The second, that everything's constantly changing. There's a lot of instability. It constantly feels like the rug is getting pulled out from under us. And the third, that everything is impacting our diabetes, and our diabetes is really part of everything else in our lives. And so we can also talk, once we've established these, about, well, what's the solution here? And how does it relate to meditation? And so from a meditative lens, when we think about this first layer of challenge, of struggle, we think about the way that we often have an initial struggle or discomfort. It's inevitable in our lives, but our reaction to it often makes matters much worse, and it actually extends our struggle and our, what you might say, suffering much longer than it needs to. And so often in the Buddhist tradition, that's called the second arrow. So the second arrow is applied, and it's like, you're kind of responsible for that second arrow. You keep struggling much longer than you need to. And so in meditation practice, we learn to be with struggle or discomfort in a way that creates less of that second arrow for us, in a way that creates less prolonged and extended and repeated suffering. So we're able to let go a little bit better and not react so much to our pain. The second piece of this constant change or instability is that at a certain point, sitting, you feel your mind going up and down and this way and that way, and something kind of just starts to click and you realize you're actually not in charge of controlling everything that's going on. And so there's this constant flow that's happening, and when you're constantly trying to control your reality, it's hard, and you constantly get like a rug burn or something on your hands for trying to keep a grip on everything. And when you let go, you realize, I can just let go and be here. I can let go into my life and let things flow. That doesn't mean you don't do anything, but it means you're not so much trying to control everything. Instead, you're kind of just trying to influence things. And so in this way, the kind of fact that everything's interconnected and that you don't have control is an antidote for the fact that everything's always changing. You get to just release into that. And that brings us really nicely into this third layer of, well, everything is impacting my diabetes, and my diabetes is part of everything else. And the trick here is a little more difficult, and it takes a little bit more time to kind of sink into, but we start to relate to some of the more beautiful components and realities of the fact that we're connected to everything else, and that we can be a positive force, and how many positive forces are impacting us. And that helps us actually manage some of the less positive and maybe more destructive forces, especially once we're already relating to this discomfort in our body and the fact that everything can flow and change over time. So as we start to relate to some of those positive elements of letting go of our need for control, our need for things to be a certain way, and our sense that it's up to us and everything's up to us, we can actually start to release into the beauty of everything being related to each other, including for our diabetes. So these are some of the ways that we use this meditative lens, and not just kind of thinking about it, but really experiencing it in meditation practice over time, over days, over months, over years of spending time with this. We start to kind of just get this in our bones a little bit of, I can be a little bit different with the struggle of diabetes, and frankly, with all the other struggles in our life. Stay with us for the next few weeks. We'll keep exploring.